And now, enter the courtroom of Judge Mathis. Plaintiff Bill Besterman was best friends with the defendant, and he says once he allowed her to move into his apartment, he soon discovered she was obsessed with him. Bill is suing his former roommate for rent and a loan. Defendant Danielle Power insists Bill was obsessed with her, and he has been for years. Danielle says she only lived with Bill for a short time because he was a fall-down drunk, and the living situation was unsafe. She's countersuing for harassment.
Start with you.
Well, Your Honor, I've known Danielle for about 6 years. I would have considered her my best friend. I had her and her family move into my apartment, and it was very quickly I could tell that she was obsessed over me. She took advantage of my life.
That is so not true.
Well, I'm glad you think you were a big part of any of this. Then
You have been obsessed with her since the day you met her.
But seriously, she took over my car, she took over my apartment. Whenever I started dating my girlfriend, she completely objected to the relationship, told me I couldn't be with her, told me that I had to leave her or she'd leave me high and dry in the apartment.
That's not exactly the way that happened.
Not exactly,
either.
okay.
Go ahead, tell me more.
The deal was that while she had her job, that she'd be able to give me $250 out of each one of her paychecks.
Beginning when?
Well, I let her slide at the beginning of June. She just moved in, I was gonna be nice, but then around July, I said that she'd have to help out, and she only paid half of that deal in July and then half the deal in August.
The agreement was
$250 a paycheck.
Mm-hmm. And that would be $500 a month?
Mm-hmm.
How much was the rent overall?
$670.
Yes.
Well, the $670 for the rent, but she drove around my car, and then there was the car insurance.
Was that part of the deal?
There was the car insurance, the rent,
How often did she
bills.
use the car?
Every day.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the utilities, obviously? All right. Ma'am, let me hear from you, background and any other information you want me to know.
We have been friends for about 6 or 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely the other way around. I found out that he is very obsessed with me, that he has been for a very long time.
How long did you all live together?
We only lived together for 3 months. I had to leave very quickly on 1 week's notice.
Why?
Because it wasn't a safe place to stay anymore.
Why wasn't? What happened?
Because he is a complete fall-down drunk. His girlfriend, who he says that I was very jealous of, it was a matter of her endangering my children. She wasn't allowed to be around children. I asked that he not have her.
You can stand up. State your name.
Alicia Smith. I was never told to be not around children.
Good. Okay. So let's move beyond that.
The agreement, there was never actually a dollar amount. What we had originally discussed would be that I would turn my check over when I got it, and then he would pay for the daily stuff, like the groceries and things like that.
You would give him every dime of your check?
Pretty much, for the most part of it.
You say for the most part. When you turn your check over to somebody, either they give you some of the money back or they keep the whole check.
Like if my check was $500, I would give him like $300 or $400 towards it, was going to be ideally, and then he would pay for the daily stuff, like
that's what
gas
happened.
in the car.
Okay, if your check was $500, you would give him $300 or $400.
And I would keep a little bit, because I have 2 children. I have 2 small children, so I would keep a little bit in my pocket, and then he was supposed to provide like the groceries. So we do like a back and forth because I had a big.
On average, how often would you
sum.
give him all of your check?
Like I said, it was never 100%, but like 3 or 4 times I would give him like 2/3 of my check.
2/3?
Yeah.
Okay. And your check would average out how much typically?
It was around $500 or $600 at the time.
That's $350 out of a $500 check.
Yeah, and also.
And you got paid every 2 weeks?
Yes, sir.
And you felt that was fair, obviously, and that was an implied agreement if you voluntarily gave him that.
Yes.
So we have $350 every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And you say it was $250 how often?
Yeah, about $500 a month.
About.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's
we'll
what you
go
said. You all discussed it.
Like
and
she said, there wasn't a definite dollar amount.
Okay.
But the thing was, we were going to split the bills as best we could down the middle. And I told her a fair amount was if she gave me half of her paycheck.
Okay.
But
under what circumstance did she leave?
Well, it ended up being that, once that she told me I couldn't see her, I said that eventually, that I thought that wasn't fair, but I would give it a minute. So I took a week off of dating her. And I said, I'm going to see how no, give me a second. I'm going to see how the household works. If Danielle was going to be nicer and more congenial around the household, then I would maybe think that it wasn't worth it. Keeping my 5-year friendship was worth more than a 2-month relationship. But whenever Danielle continued to be rude and outrageous at the household, screaming at me any chance she got, I decided, you know what, why, as a grown man, can't I be with this woman? So I decided no, and I told her, you can't have my car. I was obsessed with Danielle, that's why I picked her. Again, Lucy, please. So now we have me.
Obsessed with Danielle from day one, and everybody knows it.
Because I was obsessed with her. So I told her, I can't have you having my car all the time.
How could you tell her she couldn't have something she was paying you for?
Well,
No, you sit back down.
I was willing to do 50-50 with her.
Yeah,
but
no, you said that was the deal.
Right, but I wasn't willing to do 100%. I never had my car.
Oh, okay.
I never had my car. 50-50
You had
okay.
an agreement that she would split it 50-50. She took it 100% of the time.
Correct.
She also banned you from dating your girlfriend. You weren't dating or anything.
No, we were just friends.
Why did you let her tell you who you could date?
She said that she would threaten to leave. I wanted her there because I wanted her to help out around.
Why couldn't you just see your girlfriend outside of the home then if you thought it would risk your tenant?
She still said she'd risk our friendship.
You couldn't date her under any circumstance.
Exactly.
And you went for that.
I didn't. I saw her attitude wasn't changing. I didn't go for it, and I set my foot down, and I did start to date her.
The craziest thing in the world. You couldn't date her under any circumstance.
Exactly.
And you went for that.
I didn't. I saw her attitude wasn't changing. I didn't go for it, and I set my foot down, and I did start to date her.
The craziest thing in the world.
Plaintiff Bill Besterman is suing his former roommate, who claims Bill was obsessed with her. But Bill insists she was obsessed with him and became jealous of his witness.
What about this loan, sir?
Well, I told her that I would squash the $500 that I felt that she owed me if she would, if she'd give me one of the TVs. She had 2 TVs. I said, let me have one of the TVs. I'll squash the $500 like it never happened. I said, I'll even be willing to let you borrow $700 to get yourself on your feet. She agreed to that. She cashed the check and then completely cut off communication with me. I haven't heard hide or hair or seen her till this day.
Ma'am?
That is absolutely not the way that it happened. Bill has a real drinking problem. I have several witness statements to this. The reason I asked him to stop seeing Alicia in the home because he was getting drunk.
He said you wouldn't allow him to see her outside of the home.
That's not true. I asked him not to bring her into the house. I didn't want her around my kids. And he was getting drunk at night. Like, my sister had come to the house and he was supposed to be watching the kids, and he was down at the pool and my kids were up alone because he was out with her doing things like that. And my older sister, we drove around 4 hours one night looking for him. We found him in a sewage ditch. As far as the last month's rent goes, with our agreement, he stopped buying food. There was liquor in the freezer. He was going out every night. He was going out with her. He was doing all this stuff. I had to pay for a babysitter. I had to pay to, for the extra gas to drive them where I had to go. I almost lost my job over this.
What does it have to do with the rent?
The agreement wasn't upheld on his end, so I had to buy groceries.
What part wasn't upheld?
Because I was paying him, and he was supposed to be putting the groceries and stuff in the house. I can't give him my check if I don't have food for my kids to eat.
Okay, so it was groceries he failed to get that last month?
He failed to get groceries. He wasn't putting gas.
The prior month, how much did he pay for groceries?
I couldn't tell you how much that he put down on the groceries.
Okay, do you know how much you put on the groceries the month prior to her moving?
No.
You don't know how much you were spending?
No. I'm sorry.
We don't have an agreement here, folks. You said about this, about that. Yeah. I'll give you part of my check. Give me a little more sometime. Give me all. You can have all of it sometimes. And now we're talking about you didn't pay because of food. And you have no idea how much food usually costs. So I can't make any decisions regarding monies on this rent because I have no specific agreements.
I understand that, but
let's talk about the loan.
I do have a copy of the check right here.
That's the loan?
Yes.
All right, let's see that, please.
When he handed me this check 2 days before I left, he said, I'm sorry everything happened this way. I'm sorry it couldn't work out. And he said he wished he could do more, and he handed me in the check, and you'll see in the memo he said for whatever.
So you think he gave you this check to get back on your feet?
It was a gift, as far as I'm concerned. That's what he said to me.
As far as you're concerned.
He said I'm sorry for everything.
I don't think that's the same belief. You say that's not as far as you're concerned.
No. She said that we could still be friends after the fact. Number one.
Were
Number
you
two,
angry were you all angry when you left?
No, absolutely not.
Did she ask, I want to borrow some money?
No. I gave her the loan because I thought she might need it, but I
you
told
said
her,
she didn't ask.
but I want it repaid.
When did she agree to repay you?
She said that she was getting money back at the end of October and she could pay me at the end of that.
She didn't say where the money was coming from?
It's some refund you get for living in Alaska or something.
Ma'am?
Yeah, I was getting my state dividend, but that is not what I said to him. What I had said to him was that he didn't need to worry about it, that I was getting my check in October.
Didn't
and he's
need to worry about what?
What do you mean?
I mean what you just told me. What were you referring to he didn't have to worry about?
I was referring to the phone call. He handed me that check.
Not worry about what?
That he didn't.
wanted
That I didn't
money,
need the money.
and you said don't worry about it.
Even when he handed me the check originally,
No, we're not
when I was
talking
in
about
Florida,
that.
but I'm saying,
talking about the one conversation,
I understand
which
that.
sounds like an agreement,
I
and I'm
never-
going to conclude it's an agreement. That implied that you were going to repay him $1,500 for harassment. What is that for?
I have some voicemails and text messages from him, just calling and harassing me, calling me at all times of the day.
Okay.
Night, calling my job.
And beginning when?
They started in November.
And how often would he call?
He would call sometimes 3 times a day, sometimes 6 times a day,
Okay.
just depending on what he felt.
How many days?
It went
approximately?
through to the beginning of January or the end of December. I think the 21st
So
is the last one.
approximately every day, several
Yes.
times a day.
Yes.
Okay. And what would you tell him?
I didn't answer the phone calls because of the nature of the text messages,
Okay.
the voicemails.
What were the texts saying? You have them
Yes,
there?
I do.
You want to show me?
I also
and
have
you have a voicemail you want to play?
Yes. What I had said to him was that he didn't need to worry about it, that I was getting my check in October.
Didn't
and
need
he's
to
like,
worry about what?
What do you mean?
I mean what you just told me. What were you referring to he didn't have to worry about?
Plaintiff Bill Besterman is suing his former roommate, who claims Bill was obsessed with her. But Bill insists she was obsessed with him and became jealous of his witness.
Go ahead and play your voicemail.
Hold on, dude.
Sounds like this is one of your drunk binges here.
It might have been.
Take it from someone who has a bachelor's degree in psychology. Take it from someone who's probably going to spend the rest of their lives helping people. Hopefully get through traumatic events like being insane and stupidly crazy like you. Oh my God. Oh, okay. Hold on. Woo. All right. Oh my God. Oh my God. You need to seek some help. You really do. I know here in Florida there's a number called 211. I don't know if they have anything in the ice cold wilderness of where you're at. But anyway. Oh yeah. So yeah. No. Yeah, I'm sure somewhere in there you know you're crazy too. No, it's a definite. Oh, you're crazy. Anyway. You crazy. Okay, bye.
How do you want to explain that?
You could start off with the first off that she said she'd pay me by the end of October. So yeah, the first couple times I talked to, or tried to get a hold of her in November, they were messages along the lines of, "Hey, are you getting my messages?
Let's
I'd like
talk
to
about
talk
these
to you.
messages.
I haven't heard from you, hide or hair, this or that." So as far as I'm concerned, I don't know what messages she got or what message she didn't. She never answered the phone. She never even picked up and said,
know
"Please
now.
leave me alone." Yeah, I could tell she got that.
You just
huh?
heard them.
Yeah.
And I see a bunch of other offensive language. Therefore, I'm going to grant your judgment $1,500 for the harassment, and I'm going to grant you your loan, sir. And that was $700, leaving you, man, with $800. Not going to rule on the rent because you all never had a complete agreement. All right, have a good day.
Wow. You did it again. If you just had answered the phone, you wouldn't have got harassed.
Who's the crazy one?
Oh, I don't know who's crazy, but you didn't say much, did you? All right. Well, that was fun. Oh, man.
Be glad I didn't get the chance.
I'm glad you had a nice trip
Be
to
glad
Chicago.
I didn't get the chance.
Oh, I'm not. So that's it. So because you could record a couple voicemails, but you couldn't answer the phone, you get another $700 out of me. It's ridiculous that she took all these things from me in my life, and I was nice enough to help her out one last time, call me on the phone. Oh yeah, we're still
only
cool.
helped her out
and then
because you were obsessed with her and wanted to get in her pants.
And that's exactly what happened. I tried to get in her pants, and yet I didn't want her, told her that, and then dated another girl.
Okay, so what's
that's
the
exactly what I
voicemail
did.
from your mom saying, well, you wouldn't date him, that's why you had to date her?
Yeah, where was that?
Mom's
You didn't
calling
play
me?
that in court
Yeah.
though, did you? Because that
Okay.
happened.